Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, another underwater microphone day, but of course, always want to be wishing you well on this extended weekend. Happy holiday to all the celebrators out there. If it's just a normal Sunday for you, well, I want to wish you a happy Sunday. If it's a Memorial Day for you, well, I want to wish a very happy and special Memorial Day for you as well. Shout out to all the veterans, of course, and I do want to apologize for the microphone quality once again. I'm actually only away right now just because for the purpose of actually buying a new microphone. So come tomorrow, or I guess, well, later tonight, should have that in hand, and looking forward to getting back to the base. And until then, well, we got a little bit to talk about with good old Bitcoin. So without further ado, let's get into the live stream right here, right now. And as always, wish you the best, the happiest, the happiest. What's going on over there? Hey, and there we go. Okay, Bitcoin back into the daily and looking like a little bit of a stutter step yesterday. A decent close on the daily, but overall, as we spoke about this whole weekend, or sorry, not necessarily this whole weekend, but yesterday and perhaps even today, unlikely to be days of like major, massive moves outside of the range. The range still is the same range that we've been dealing with for the past 3 weeks since middle of May, going back on all the way over here. And overall, Bitcoin having a decent close last night above all major moving averages. More importantly, we do see the purple 200 exponential moving average get very close to the blue 377 exponential moving average. That's kind of the last one of the last of the last for me. If we do see that cross, then overall the longer term trend will be strengthened to the upside. Doesn't mean that we can't have another pullback. In fact, like I always say, I'm actually, well, not like I always say, but like I am still saying, I would actually be looking for a 30 to 40% pullback within the next month or two. I'd say month and a half to like 2 months area. I do think is quite likely, but for right now, I would be respectful of the upside. I am bullish right now. I do believe that Bitcoin is, well, I mean, it's hard to be bearish on a chart like this. You have higher highs and higher lows on just about every time frame underneath a monthly. And on top of that, we do see the daily also starting to switch around here. We do see daily Stokes pointing back up, or sorry, actually to the downside right now, but snaking around a lot. So I don't really have a strong opinion on what we're going to do today. To me, overall, this is very constructive price action above all major moving averages. That matters more. We do have our basically our series of higher lows coming in right around here. Our last one coming in right around 7,600. So as long as we don't violate 7,600 to the downside, overall very good. And we do see that the yellow 21 exponential moving average has migrated all the way above about 7,350 now, almost approaching 7,400. So very aggressively kind of making its way upwards and onwards. And we do see more and more divergence between all of these major moving averages here, which tells me that once again, just from a longer term perspective, looking better and better. And of course, that's when we're talking about those sorts of things, we're talking about a very long-term look. And while it's not necessarily like too even relevant to what's going on in the intraday action, it does set the longer-term trend. So with that said, we should get on over and check out the daily RSI. Daily RSI not really telling us anything. I mean, what it is telling us is that we're in a massive consolidation phase right now, which is exactly what we see on price action. We're not getting anything like super unique from looking at this. We do see daily Jewel getting a little bit further away from each other, but at some point these guys will converge on each other. Funnily enough, it will be in a sell posturing, however, but that would still be, even if it did line up for a perfect sell, it'd still be like a week, maybe even 2 weeks away, depending upon how price action reacts. So let's actually go down to the lower time frames, just because, well, that's where all the action's going on, especially on a weekend like this, where most people are taking it off, and volatility at a fucking standstill right now. But overall, we do see that Bitcoin flagging out at a high level. If we do put on the drawing tools, we will see that we do still have this. Wait, what's going on over here? I guess I must have made this on an hourly, or I adjusted this on the hourly. Let's confirm that. There we go. Nope, apparently not. All right, so I'm going to go back to the, oh, that's right, I did it on a 12-hour. Okay. I'm having difficulties scrolling with my mouse here, just because I'm on my laptop, not my general computer. But if we just adjust this guy right over here, we can see that overall this trend line still crawling its way up. So if Bitcoin did have a nice bear attack, a nice bear attempt, I would be looking for a move all the way back down here to about 7,500. But for right now, Bitcoin holding up relatively high. I do say, I mean, basically it's the same thing that we've been saying for the past week and a half, 2 weeks. That any move above any sort of 10-hour, 12-hour daily total close above 8,200, 8,250, and I'm looking for a move much higher. Next measure move is going to be all the way up towards our 9,500, 9,400-ish target right around here, which is confluent with the volume profiles we do see. Overall, I really like this area. If Bitcoin does break up, Likely a lot of people are going to be thinking 10,000, which colloquially, is a lot easier to say, but at the end of the day, when everyone's kind of looking at the same thing, which I think most people are bullish right now, and most people are looking at a target of around 10,000, usually it gets front ran or it gets overshot. And in this case, I do think that this would kind of line up with a little bit of a front run, somewhere right around the 94 to 9,500-ish region if we do get that break to the upside. And I'm 100% completely, 100% completely new formula. And that's from? No, you don't. What I'm talking about is I'm completely content with just kind of waiting back and waiting for the next big signal, just because there's such big edge on this trade. Of course, to the downside, if we do see a break below this rising trend line that we just spoke about, which is also going to be the daily 21 exponential moving average, then yes, I would be looking for an ultimate move about $1,000 lower. So we're talking about a little bit more than $1,000 move either which way, with just a little bit of patience below about, what is it, 73? Sorry, yeah, about 7,300 daily close below there. Yep, looking for a move $1,000 lower. 10-hour, 12-hour daily total close above 8,200, 8,250. Looking for about a little bit more than $1,000 move to the upside. So overall, until we get one of those breaks, it's all just mental masturbation. Yes, this is symmetrical triangle. Yes, or you could represent it as an ascending triangle. I don't care what you do it as. All I care about is point of resistance, as I've seen every pattern break out every fucking possible way that you could ever think of. So except to the left side, but actually except for some rollbacks here and there, maybe you could argue that's already happened too. Anyways, going down here to the hourly, we do see the hourly in the more immediate price action is very constructive within this region, and I want to combine a few things right now with the historical volatility percentile, which is at literal lows. So this is now quite literally flashing signals in front of your face saying this move is coming, likely today, likely tomorrow. This is by statistical narrative incredibly likely to explode, and because we are at the top of this resistance, actually a little bit more likely to, it is more likely to break up to the upside. I mean, just that paired with the fact that it's just overall bullish, I think is quite obvious. So now we're seeing this thing really actually give in your face, like, go fuck yourself signals, which you see being put in this indicator right here on the actual low. So again, that just tells us that price action is likely to explode. Doesn't tell us direction. Price action tells us, well, our other indicators give us insight and direction. I do believe that this one's likely to be the upside. But of course, like I said, the key triggers for those sort of actionable trades, in my opinion, are what we just spoke about. In fact, I am not taking any positions right now. I'm still pretty much flat. I am holding my count long. I haven't covered that, but I am happy to start a long position anywhere above the aforementioned targets. And the reason why I want to be flat right now is because I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be using equity for a trade when the big trade is actually probably staring us in the face. Not only that, but if we do go back to a daily for a second, we will see, if you're looking at this as a triangle, it's about at around that 69% fullish region now, which to me, or sorry, not to me, but statistically speaking, means that it's really likely to break. So everything kind of converging on each other now. I'd say within the next day or two, we probably do see a break of this formation. I do think that I personally think it's more likely to break up to the upside than the downside. We do see our 12-hour Stokes, which have been very good at getting price action, pointed back up to the upside. A little bit weak, to be fair, so it certainly could come back down, but I give credit where credit's due at the current moment. We also do see 12-hour RSI, just that of a consolidation between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone. So to me, that's a bullish consolidation. And on top of that, we're of course above all major moving averages. Now, here's the thing: does that mean that we can't come back down and sweep this area first? No, I think it's actually quite possible that we do sweep 7850, 7900 in the lower time frames. But I do believe that it's also going to be bought up. In fact, if you use the 12-hour dildo time frame right here and take everything off, we do see that this yellow 21 exponential moving average has been walking price action up ever since basically our major massive move up in what was this, March. So Bitcoin got the 12-hour dodo golden cross right over here, the green and the purple. Boom, massive leg up, consolidates for a while. Boom, another massive leg up, consolidates for a while as well. And so as long as we ride this 21 exponential moving average, I would say that this is to be considered and to be respected as fully bullish. The second that we actually break this 12-hour 21 exponential moving average, then yes, I do think that we have a move down at the very least to about 7,200, fill the gap on the CMEs from right over here. If we go back, there you go, right over here from about 7,200 as well, and then have a little bit of a bounce there, and then probably fall back down and then initiate those lower targets that we spoke about. But like I said, I want to be very clear about this. I'm not leaning towards that happening. I am bullish here. That is the right way to be looking at this, even with regards to the fact that lower time frames probably want to have a little bit of a sweep back down. 7,850, 7,800ish area is certainly is certainly very reasonable. So yeah, overall that's kind of what I'm thinking as with regards to that. Let's go back down to the very low time frames and see what's going on here. Again, very difficult to get, especially on a weekend. But when we do look at the hourly, we do see hourly Stokes, getting way down. Well, not way down there, but right in the middle. What's up, Big Geek? Good to meet you, man. Good to have you in here. Sorry about the poor mic quality. Bad introduction. We do see hourly RSI actually giving us some hidden bullish divergence. We have higher lows with the also making lower lows, telling us that in the overall context of an uptrend. So telling us that bears are using more power and getting less way. But remember, this is an hourly. I do not think it's appropriate to be trading the lower time frames right now, just because 1, it's a weekend, 2, it's a holiday weekend, 3, it's the higher time frames that are showing you the way, and because a breakout is pretty fucking likely, very imminently speaking, the lower time frames are only gonna dissuade you into putting your account on something, on a trade that's like for $50 instead of a potentially $1,000 trade. So again, that's what I'm looking at right over here. Hourly support right around that 7,850ish area that we just spoke about. So I do like the confluences between these two things. And that's kind of what I'd be looking for if we do have a little bit of a pullback. That area going to be confluent with the 12-hour 10 simple, and the 21 exponential coming in a little bit lower than that, at around the 7750-ish area. So again, as long as it kind of holds that, then we are still fulfilling our prophecy of higher lows, the bullish prophecy. And again, kind of where I lean towards in general right now. But lower time frames are showing a little bit of droopiness here. We do see 4 hour losing the 10 simple and looking like it wants to come down to about 7850, I'd say. So I do feel comfortable with making a call like that. I do feel that 4 hour Stokes are coming to the downside and probably good enough, again, about a couple $100 trade from here. A 4 hour RSI, again, just that of consolidation, but because it is consolidation, we can have some whippy shit in this about like $200 to $300 range that we've been living in for the past few days. So probably somewhere right around here is what we'd be looking towards. Again, 7850, I think a little bit likely 7750. We'll talk about it if and when it does happen there. But like I said, I don't think it's appropriate right now to get stuck in the lower time frames. 8 hour, what are we looking at? 8 hour Stokes still headed up, but again, these medium time frames have not been getting things well for like the general feeling. I think it's very obvious that we're dealing with an ascending triangle here. 8 hour RSI, again, just complete consolidation. Complete, it would be considered a bullish consolidation, but overall, I want to, I'm not really taking too much off this. It's just telling us what the other time frames are telling us that we're consolidated right now. It's likely bullish consolidation, but probably going to take a little bit more time, maybe like another day and a half, 2 days. And probably does have a little bit of a little bit of a test downwards, and at which point I would be looking for it to be bought back on up. Jesus Christ, man, I can't even get my words out properly, although it did a really good night's sleep last night, so I'm really happy about that. 10 hour Stokes actually back up as well, which have been a little bit better, but same thing over here. We're dealing with complete consolidation. You can even, I'm sure that some more gung-ho people would say that this is bearish divergence. It's not. They're being silly, but overall, this is kind of what we're dealing with right now. Everyone's bored. Everyone's, most people are on holiday, and we're just watching these pixels on a screen just slowly but surely like grind their way forwards, filling in the spots, painting in the blank spaces. And to me, likely to be fine here. Let's go to here, the 2-day. 2-day is looking very good to me. 2-day is looking very, very good to me. In fact, I would be comfortable with saying a few things about the 2-day from an upside perspective. If we even just take out the high of this delta right here at about 8,300, I do believe that that would be also, worthy of continuation, worthy of scaling into a position. More cavalier people will use the prior delta right here at 81.88 spot 87. I think that that is equally valid, and more importantly, we do have the golden cross on the 2-day dildo time frame as well. So I really want to be very direct in saying this. This is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but the higher time frames are bullish. Don't get lost in the lower time frames right now. As from a higher time frame perspective, it's not even appropriate to even get bearish on this until we take out like 7,500 to the downside, and then yes, it'd probably be bearish. That'd probably be another initial bearish warning signal for a move much lower. But for right now, this looks good to me, man. This looks very good. 2-day double golden cross, which again, this is the green and the purple, the 55 and the 200. The last time that we even saw that happen was all the way back on over here, in good old whoops. Hey, goddamn, man, this doing it with a trackpad is fucking impossible. Holy shit. Shout out to anyone who does it like this. You are a goddamn hero, but I wouldn't want to be you. Yeah, the last time that we saw it was right over here at 350. Bitcoin going all the way from 350 to $20,000 in the couple years to follow. So again, a longer term type thing. Remember, this is we're talking about years of price action at hand right now. Not only that, but we have regained the 200 simple on this time frame as well, which was that initial gatekeeper on the move above 5,800, which was my big resistance coming up into here. And you do see kind of a similar setup in 2014, 2015. This white 200 simple moving average getting the price action very well when Bitcoin lost it, bad when Bitcoin regained it, good. You can kind of see the same thing right over here, which now has completely flatlined, and I'd imagine within the next tick or two, it actually probably gets a positive slope. So this is now confirmed in my mind. We do have the golden cross at 100% confirmed. We are actually going to get another bullish cross on the cyan 89 and the blue 377 exponential, likely on the next tick. And we do see more divergence between all these moving averages. So higher time frames, really leading the way here, and looking all well and good to me. So again, I would, like I said, I'd be comfortable taking positions, probably even just scaling in above the 2 pivots that we just spoke about right over there. Although that would be a little bit more forwards than typically I like to do things. But yeah, overall, I do think that these trades are probably going to be worth it. Looking at our 2-day oscillators, we do see 2-day Stokes actually still headed back up to the upside. However, it should be reminded that this area is an area of contention, as we do have this trend line, this nice support trend line coming in all the way from mid-March, which Bitcoin's been running up above. So as long as Bitcoin holds it, I'm generally optimistic. Although you can see that the more and more that we hold it, the more and more it becomes difficult to hold within this region, and and by like a timing factor, it will break, which likely going to come in contact with the next big pullback. So again, I have to be very careful in the way that I relate these ideas, because I do think that a 30 to 40% retracement is very likely actually for Bitcoin, but I am bullish here. So it's not, there's a time and a place to be looking for that, and right now I don't believe it's time and place. I would only be looking for that retracement if we take out, if we take 7,500 out, then that's going to be your first warning signal, but that's not a full signal in and of itself. That's not going to get it all done. Below 7,200, then yes, then I consider that a full-on signal. We're likely going to go down to the low 6,000s and mid to high 5,000s. But for right now, you can see that we're well and far away from that, and I don't really look for that to happen right here. 2-day RSI, what are we looking at? Again, just oscillating between the bullish control zone, basically. At some point, we will put in divergence, but not happening anytime soon. First things first, we have to put in a higher high first and confirm a local high, which we're right now just consolidating right at our highs, which is typically a really good sign. So yeah, I'll kind of leave it at that. Going over here to the 3-day. 3-day, we just got a new one the other day. More importantly, we have been consolidating very well above this white 200 simple moving average. Very similar explanation on this one as it was on the 2-day. Bitcoin regaining it back over here was certainly a good sign. Bitcoin losing it right over here, a bad sign. And you can see that we have done the same thing in 2018, 2019. Lost it over here, bad. Regaining it right over here, likely good, and we will be getting the golden cross on the 3-day double time frame, barring any sort of a major run down to the low 6,000s in the next couple weeks. So again, just another overall good thing. We do see we see 3-day stokes actually headed down. So that's probably the most bearish thing that I really see from an immediate perspective. But they do feel weak to me, and they don't feel like. And it feels like if price action does break to the upside here, they will cross back up and have like one more big leg is what they'll do. 3-day RSI, again, same issue with this as a 2-day. At some point it will create some bearish divergence. Not right now though, but any sort of new high is going to be accompanied by pretty massive bearish divergence on just about any time frame above a daily. So it's not going to be it's probably going to be interpreted bad by all the divergence algos. Looking at 3-day. What is this? A 3-day historical volatility percentile. We are gearing up for a move. We are certainly gearing up for a move right here. So I would be, I would be cautious. And of course, the 3-day jewel, which I've been putting a lot of weight on, is in a decision phase as well. Because the more and more time that we spend going sideways here, the more and more time that this pink has to walk up and catch the light blue. Now, if the light blue gets caught and supported and walked up into this region right here, that's when I look for that next 30 to 40% move. So again, timing an actual massive potential downtrade for the tune of 30-40%, that's what I'm looking for. I need to see this light blue oscillator get walked into the 88 to 90ish region on the jewel. If it can do that, then I'm going to be taking some pretty massive shorts, most likely. As in the past, that has been an absolute winner as far as historical back testing each and every time. I mean, when we see the light blue get into that more critical zone, as we said, right around this red dotted line, and get a negative slope with the red in the background, that is when pretty nasty moves have been called. So we can just, we can back test a few times. I've done this so many times now, so I don't want to bore people, especially the people who've been here for a while. But 37% right there. We have about 35% there. We have another, you probably get the idea, about 50% right there. I don't know if I'm doing this one right. About 40% right there. You get the idea, most likely. And of course, if we take it from this parabolic high right here, it's going to be like fucking 70%, which I don't think that we're going to have 70% retracement. I think that we're more likely to have one of the 30 and 40% retracement. So, if Bitcoin were to get to that next leg somewhere around 9,500, again, give or take a few bucks, that would line up with a 35% retracement, which would put us right around our 2018 lows, which would make a lot of sense from a technical analysis standpoint. I actually really like that. Good confluences there, and overall, if this is very bad technical analysis. What I'm doing, it's better to wait for the signal first and then take action and then measure it out. But tentatively speaking, could be looking at something like this, which would be like a nice $3,500 trade, and well, who doesn't like a $3,500 trade? Everyone doesn't like a $3,500 trade. No, of course not. Looking at our current area right here, it also is it's a potential factor that we actually do play it out from this area, but I think it's less likely. As you can see, the light blue is just nowhere near that zone that really initiates those very violent sell-offs. It's still quite down here. In fact, it's actually angled down right now, which would be interpreted more bearishly. So overall, if we do get picked up here, then, well, I'll be looking for like one more down tick. Then it gets brought up with a breakage of this area, and then we get walked up and find our final destination, just like the good old movie. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. That's going to be my next big downside trade when I see that signal actually be fully fired off in all of its glory. For right now, I don't really think that it's as you can see, it's going to take some time. Remember, each and every one of these dildos represents 3 days worth of price action. So this guy right over here is just by the nature of it, is even if he does make it into this more critical zone, it's going to take a while. I mean, it's actually going to take like maybe a week, 2 weeks, something like that, and that's assuming that we start moving right now. We haven't been moving, so it hasn't really had a chance to differentiate itself. But that's exactly what I'm looking for my next big trade. Well, except for, like an actual breakout out of this current range. But yeah, okay, let's go over the weekly. We're going to be closing one later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So very important here. And what I want to see is this yellow 21 exponential moving average across the upside of both the green 55 and the cyan 89. And then we're just going to have another lower period trading above a higher period. Just another, longer term longer term stones being set in place, saying, hey, trend is switching around to more strong bullish. Obviously, we had the green 55 cross the upside of the Cyan 89 last week, and also the red 10 simple cross above both those guys. So we're seeing it switch around quite rapidly. And here's the thing: is all these moving averages are converging right around this like mid 5,000 region. So this is a massive base for bulls from a long-term perspective. And while I do think that Bitcoin is likely to have a pretty nasty pullback at some point in time, it's not until Bitcoin actually breaks 5,500 where I'd be like saying, actual bearish things once again, pointing towards moves back down to our prior lows at 4,200 and 3,700-ish area. For right now, it's just not, that's as long as we're above that, as long as we're above this pivot, this 5,500 pivot, that is the big news, and that is the bulls base. And as long as we're above that, bulls are in control as far as I can see it. But remember, that means that price action can literally come all the way back down here, and still, it's still just because they're just a pullback, bro. We're gonna be pulling out right now, bro. All that good stuff. But if we do break this area, then yes, massive pivot being destroyed, and we get to have the fun discussion of returning to the lows once again. For right now, I do want to put on the 50 simple because there is another just major thing in this area which I do want to speak about for a second. It's going to be represented by the red moving average. As you can see right here, this is the 50 simple. Everyone was talking about it, weeks ago when we were grinding it up, and I was saying, no, this is a bullish setup. When you have a major moving average like this being ground out, when price action hangs around it for a while without breaking it, but without fully breaking down, making higher lows on these wicks all the way through, that's extremely bullish. And to me, also just the 50 simple is important from a longer term standpoint on Bitcoin. As you can see, when it lost it in 2014, 2015, that's when bears took over with their massive girthy red dildos. When they regained it right over here, well, that was the beginning of your glory times. And same thing in 2018 when you lost it right over here. Boom, reject, take it out. Hey, glory times. So again, it does set in a base from a longer term perspective. In 2014, 2015, after we did take it out, we come back and retest it after that? Not really. Kind of, but not really. Over time, I guess you could say that this wick over here was a good retest, but it wasn't until we actually literally, we're done going parabolic a few years later when we actually did come back down and formally retest it. So again, a more long-term indication on the healthiness of Bitcoin, I suppose you could say. Getting on over into the, let's actually take this guy back off now. And I want to look at something else. We're going to look at the Trojan bands, which are going to begin. Oh, you motherfucker. How dare you? Of course I don't want 5010. You bastard. There you go. Alrighty. Calculate your expenditures in your life, you bastard. There we go. Let's put on the Troys. Another big thing from a more immediate time frame perspective, as long as we close this next weekly dildo above the top Trojan band at about 7,600, 7,650. Again, I'm looking for more continuation. Higher time frames say continuation. As long as we're closing above the top Trojan band, continuation is certainly more likely. And more importantly, you get these markers during very, 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 very strong trends, like you did over here to the upside, like you did over here to the downside. It's not until we actually close a weekly dildo below this top Trojan band where statistically you're looking for a more healthy retracement, which would probably net us back down, and initiate those targets lower that we spoke about. So I'd also feel comfortable saying that, hey, if the weekly did close below this level, we probably do ultimately see the lower 6,000 area that we just spoke about. But for right now, again, this says continuation first and foremost above anything else. And other than that, there's not too much else to say about it until we actually close below the top Trojan band. I'm bullish, and I'm looking for more bullishness. Weekly Stoch's going to be still up and at 'em, still very erect, still very much in the same area that we saw in December 2017 when Bitcoin was at $20,000 price per Bitcoin. But they can stay up there during very strong trending moves. That's all good. It's no problem with that. But just wanted to show these things, relatively fast. At some point in time, I do want to see the RSI come back down and test this exponential. It's very rare that we spend this far away from it for this long. Historically speaking, I don't think it's ever really been this long. Maybe comparable over here, but not so much. Overall, just statistically speaking, probably want to come back down and test that sooner rather than later at this point. But don't underestimate the last gasp effort of a parabolic run, of which we're kind of looking at right now. Let's go back and put on the exponentials. And while we are here, might as well throw on the volume profile. We do see volume profile suggesting, if we take this off, yeah, again, our next kind of area of interest would be right around here, right around 9,400, 9,300. So if Bitcoin does break to the upside, that's essentially what I'm looking towards. And as you can see to the downside, we have a massive high value node right here, right around that 63, 6,400 mark. So if Bitcoin were to break down, that would be my first major target. But like I said, I'm actually not leaning towards that happening. I'm leaning towards us probably working our way back up before anything else. Okay, let's go look at the monthly for a second. We haven't done that in a while just because, well, it's monthly. It doesn't change all that much, but we are getting to the end of this month. So with that said, it is going to be very important coming up. Well, I mean, what do you have to say about this? I mean, this is one of those things where it was important when we were talking about it in February and March for these setups, for taking out the green 50 and then the yellow 21 right here. Those were the trade setups. Now, I mean, it's, if you took those trades, it's time to just watch, of which those trades I'm still in. I'm still holding those, and I have no real intention to let them go anytime soon. We do see monthly Stokes pointed back up and getting erect once again, just like you saw in 2014, 2015. Not the best marker of it though, to be fair. And more importantly, we do see monthly RSI getting above the exponential, which in my opinion is, of course, you can't say it until it actually happens, but it's pretty fucking likely to confirm, I'll put it that way. So again, at some point we will come back down and test its exponential. That's going to be the next big buying opportunity for me as well, for like a long-term, more long-term position. This is going to be a first monthly dildo that's both open and closed above the yellow 21, very important, which, for me was my sort of general market from my experiences as a market maker authorized trader on the floor of New York Stock Exchange ARCA to judge if stocks were generally bullish or generally bearish. And well, this one, switching around, of course. Also, if we close anywhere above 7,700, we will have created our first higher high in a very long time, since about a year and a half ago, since December 2017. So again, just another thing from a higher time frame perspective, saying, hey, things are changing around. At some point, yes, we will put in a higher low, somewhere, hopefully, as long as it's higher than 3,300, all good. But you can see that also means, we can come all the way back down to 3,400, 3,300, and still be setting in higher lows from a monthly standpoint. But do I think that's likely to happen? Not really. Not really, especially if we get it closed like this. We're not going to be. I don't think that we come down like relatively soon, anyways. So yeah. What else do we want to look at? Let's look at the BLX for a second. I want to bring up something that I very rarely look at, but we can do this right now. Why not? There's not too much to talk about today, but the quarterly dildos right here, which quarterly dildos looking very good. In fact, quarterly dildos, just by the nature of taking out 6,900 right here, as you can see, does look to me like we want to have a pretty damn good close, and I think that we do close this. We do not close this one this month. It's next month. Damn. Okay. Yeah, I thought it was going to close like this. At any rate, both this setup looks good, and I would really struggle to look at it as not such, to be honest with you. The only way that I get like bearish on this is if we actually close this quarterly below 5,700, but I think it's quite unlikely. You can see that we have been riding the 21 exponential moving average the whole way up. Again, just overall fine. That's what strong assets do. They only come down to their 21 and then rally above it. But yeah, other than that, not really too much else to say. I mean, we can look at oscillators, but they're not gonna have too much. They're not gonna have enough price action history to go off of. Okay, cool. Let's go back to daily and perhaps look at the other top shitcoins. Or before we get into that, let's look at the underlying market dynamics. We got Bitcoin margin positions here. Longs have added a little bit. We've seen a little bit of longs increase, and we've also seen a little bit of shorts increase. We have about the same delta between the two, 2,300 versus 19,000. So we do have an imbalance still in the favor of the longs, but more importantly, neither side is that high. So neither side is using up that much of their ammo. I mean, looking at it aggregate for the shorts, they are, they can get up all the way to 40,000 before they start to get overdone. Same thing for the longs, which are around 23. Those things can get all the way up here in the 35,000 plus region before they get a little bit too much. Although overall, I don't really care all that much about this metric anymore. It is interesting to look at. We do see longs are actually paying a pretty significant rate right now. So if you are looking, if you're looking for a bearish indication, that would probably be the best thing right there. 0.073% is high for sure. And you're going to be paying, $5,000 a day to hold $1 million in contract position per day long. And when price action is not moving, that is a consideration. situation. Although, like I said, I don't think that it's not going to be moving for forever. In fact, right now, I think it's actually quite likely to see a big move within the next day and a half to 2 days. I'd say very likely. I mean, shit, man, it could even happen today, I suppose. But I think maybe happens today. Whatever. You've seen the indicators. You know exactly what I'm going off of. Anywhere within this next span of a few days looks fine to me. Okay, Bitcoin coming down a little bit in lower time frames. Nice. Okay, is that call going to be validated or not? Of course, I don't really like to make those calls just because, they happen pretty much as soon as I post the videos. Anyways, it's probably not too helpful. And also, probably not the best idea to be a call person. Call girls are a different story though. So we looked at that. Let's go look at the crypto fear and greed index. We're ticking out at 67. We're actually a little bit lower than what we were yesterday. So again, it's kind of allowing this to reset as a more underlying market dynamic indicator, and finding its comfort within this region. Again, a region which I believe is going to be oscillating between 40 and 80 for a little bit of time as we figure out this next phase of the market cycle. Before, we were oscillating between about 60 and 20 area for the bear market of 2018. You can see lower highs and just setting a low right over here. Basically, just spending a lot of time in the more fearful zone. Well, now we're getting a divergence from that. We're setting higher lows and actually higher highs for right now. We do kind of switch around the market cycle, and you can see that this also has found comfort within this zone, which I do believe is going to set in a new meaning of it. And right now, kind of allowing it to reset a little bit as price action essentially goes flat. Nothing's really happened from a higher time frame perspective. I do want to check out a fundamental indicator. One of the Now, you probably noticed that I haven't really been talking about super long-term stuff or fundamental stuff, but because most of it's just been unchanged. We've been watching it go all the way through, and they're switching around slowly but surely to bullish. Well, now, there's nothing new to cover there. It's they are bullish, so they look fine. But looking at this indicator, this fundamental indicator, this Bitcoin network momentum, it's the only one that I haven't seen exactly what I want to see from it just yet. What I want to see is this brown oscillator get above this critical zone right here. And let me just explain it. This is network momentum being gained, right? So starting off over here, we're making higher lows, higher highs on the network momentum. Then we actually set in a low on this market cycle, and a bull market emerges from that, right? And that is marked by the end of higher highs and higher lows on this oscillator. And you do see that we set in basically a support trend line right here. And for the next couple of years, we kind of rally off that, coming back down to it right over here, basing on it during this low, and then putting another high right over here, creating significant divergence between this point and this point. Okay, all is well and good. Then we break down below this horizontal support, basically marking the top of 2014, not to the T, but good enough, and then come down and put in your lows right over here. But the lows are not put in when Bitcoin starts making, it is when Bitcoin starts making higher lows on this thing, but more importantly to me, it's actually breaking back above, and more intuitively to me, it's breaking back above this critical zone right here, which we set in as a base for the prior market cycle. Once we break above that area right there, that's when the bullish momentum really begins. Not just lows being put in, although the low was put in exactly at this point, actually, yeah, the low was put exactly in at this point. It wasn't until when we set in a higher low right here, didn't really mean anything actually. And then after that, bullish momentum begins once again, and we do the same thing. We get a series of higher lows and higher highs for a little bit, and then create another support trend line for this market cycle right over here. And you get to rally for the next 3 years, coming down and testing this once or twice, both great buys. And then once we break it over here, your highs of 2018 are put in, or 2017, 2018 put in right over here, and once again we do we go the wrong way, baby, the bear direction. No, it's if you ain't bear, you ain't right. Is that how it goes? Whatever. You get my point. And what I'm looking for now is I'm looking for this brownish oscillator to get above this critical zone right here. Once it does that, that's going to be momentum now back into the full-on bull territory, which you'd think that would already be seeing that right now, but no, it does look like this fundamental indicator is still suggesting that we have a little bit more to actually take off to fully confirm this market. But yeah, it's on its way. It's going to take some time, but worth mentioning. Let's go talk about the other top shitcoins for a second. We got Mr. Beaterall right over here. And what's Mr. Beaterall looking like on the daily? Again, overall good. I think it does have a little bit of a has a little bit of downside here. Probably back down to like 377 base at 239.5-ish area. I don't know. Doesn't really get that far down. Let's go to a 12-hour. 12-hour support right around 242. Yeah, somewhere in that region. As long as 242 gets defended, I do still look at this as a bull flag. Bull flag does have a measure move pointing us all the way towards 330, I believe it is. Let me zoom it out. It's somewhere up here. Come on, there we go. Yeah, 330 right around here. So I do like that confluence with that horizontal as well. So yeah, overall, Mr. Beaterall 12-hour stokes are headed up right now. So I think that this is likely to just be bought up. If and when we do test this like 242 to 239.5 region, looks fine to me. Like I said, bull flag right over here, and more importantly on the daily we do have, if we take everything off and see it easier, we do have the golden cross. We're above the 21 exponential moving average, so I'm generally bullish on something like this as long as we're above this yellow moving average right here. Looking at daily stokes, we do see daily stokes actually down right now, so that would that kind of be opening up the floodgates for that test down for a little bit down. But like I said, I'm not like bearish isn't the right word here. It's like pullback, I guess is the right word. 2-day. 2-day support a little bit lower, right around the 200, which is about 243.5. Yeah, about 243.5 looks like. 3-day, same thing. It's the same fucking chart, man. That's what it is. So yeah, overall, man. While I do think that we have a little bit of downside here in the lower time frames, I'd still be bullish on the higher time frames. And I'd maintain this. I'd essentially maintain this narrative as long as we create these higher lows. I mean, it's all good to me. If you want to make it the most, sustainable, easy way to do it, that's exactly how I'd be looking at this one. Technically, if we did close the daily total below maybe the 377 at 239, yeah, wouldn't be the best thing of all time. I don't want to see it lose it again. So yeah, that's really all to say about that. Let's go down to a lower time frame. 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hour wants to come down. 4 hour wants to come down probably towards this. Pretty much where it is right now, but I do think that it has a little bit more to 230. I think 232.5 to 233. Oh my god, not 233. 242.5 to 243 is kind of where I'd be looking towards. 4 hour stokes can be headed down. Yeah, looking for a pullback here, but higher time frame still bullish. Weekly is gonna close. Actually, I don't really like the weekly closing in this region here, although it is above all these moving averages. Really wanted to see it get continuation sooner rather than later. The hesitation here is actually not the best sign, but still give it the benefit of the doubt for now. Did get a bullish cross last week. I want to see these two guys converge on each other, and then we might have something to talk about. Okay, cool. Let's talk about Mrs. Litecoin. What's this beautiful bitch doing? $100. Weekly looking good over here. About daily looking like a pullback, but overall nice consolidation and kind of flagging out. Kind of a fucked up cup and handle that we got going on with this droopy part right here, but it does work. Nice high volume right over here, low volume in the cup, and basically putting in nice consolidation right here. To me, it's looking like it's kind of gearing up for another move higher. Daily stokes look fine on Litecoin. Actually look pretty good. What about lower time frames? Lower time frames, probably a dip back down to $97.50 is what I'd be looking towards. $97.50 to $98. If this area does fail, then yes, then we can play out a more prolonged pullback towards $91.50, $92. But I think that's a little bit less likely. I would be looking for a bounce right around $97.50 to $98. Let's go over to the weekly for a second. I think we already spoke about it. Yeah, weekly looks fine to me. Weekly looks fine, and more importantly, the weekly stokes are going to be crossing back up to the upside. I'm about to get pretty fucking bullish on Mrs. Litecoin. Next tentative target is going to be like 125 region. So looking good. A close anywhere here or higher by end of day, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be bullish next week on Litecoin for that move. So yeah, again, lower time frames pullback, higher time frames pretty bullish. 12 hour here, 12 hour support a little bit lower, but all is fine on this one. From a structural standpoint, as long as we maintain above really like $88, so you can see that it can even do some damage to the downside and still be fine. Let's let's talk about the other top shit coins. Cardano. What do we got on Cardano? Again, I do think that is still trying to put in a low here. You know, I don't like this chart. Don't get me wrong. It's a fucking ugly chart. But look at the historical volatility percentile. We are doing major volatility. This is how lows are put in. Weekly, you know, not the most inspiring one of all time, but as long as it closes above 1,000 satoshis, I think it's okay. I mean, it's again not the most inspiring chart of all time, but it's okay. You know, probably works its way towards 1350 area over time. Very low time frames, I'm gonna guess, are just completely flat, and they're gonna do some sort of like fucking BART action, yeah, something like this. I mean, this is technically not a good formation here, to be fair, but we've seen this so many times in crypto where, you know, you paint in a bearish formation, then you break it to the upside, which is why I don't care about which way or what you call a formation. I only care about which way you break it. BNB count, what's he doing? Ooh, putting his high. And did we hit our target? Nope, we didn't hit our target of $38. We got to 36, it looks like. About 36, 35 and a half, yeah, pretty good. Do you think that this one wants to pull back as well? Probably back down at the very least towards 32 bucks. We have bearish divergence here on the daily. That's gonna, yeah, we do. Yeah, so that's gonna make it a little bit more nasty. You know what? I think BNB is probably gonna have a little bit more of a nasty retracement. Tentative targets, like I said, 32 and a quarter, and down here, then we start to talk about 29. So we'll talk about it more if and when we do get there. But for now, yeah, I do think that this one wants to retrace a little bit. We do see 12-hour Stokes actually wanting to cross to the downside. Daily Stokes crossing the downside. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable calling the retracement on this one. Daily support around 31. So yeah, somewhere like 31 to 29 and a half. I'd be saying probably likely. Let's see how the weekly's going to close though. Yeah, so as long as the weekly closes above like $31, I like it. But if the weekly closes below $30, I'm not going to be a fan of it. It's going to start to look like a topping dildo. So I would be careful of that. Yeah, weekly Stokes looking weak as well. This one's going to be one to watch. Needs to close today above, at least above $30, but preferably above like 31, and it'll look okay. But for right now, a little bit under pressure. Okay, what do we got? Zcash. Again, coming down to supports. I do think that this probably does bounce off this area. Yeah, it's going to come down to $70. Probably does bounce off $70. What is this? So maybe I adjust that to 69 and a half. Yeah, 69 and a half, and I would be looking for a bounce there. What's up, Stargate World? It's good to meet you, man. So yeah, would be looking for a short-term bounce at 69 and a half bucks. Yeah, other than that, don't have too much else to say. It's going to go with the rest of the market, as are pretty much every altcoin. It's going to follow Bitcoin, Butyrol, and to an extent BNB actually as well. Bcash, Bcash. What's he doing? Yeah, giving it up here too. You know, looking like everything wants to retrace to me. Probably comes back down to the 12-hour 21, which is right around here. There you go. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a wick to the downside, but as long as we don't break this 12-hour 21, I still look at this as a bullish formation. 12-hour Stokes going to be crossing, technically to the downside right now. So that would be the next deciding factor for me. Looking at the daily, yeah, daily wants a little bit of down here too. Daily says we come down to 370, but do have the golden cross, so I would be a buyer on the 21 as long as we have that golden cross up. Krown Cash, coming back down at the very least to what is this? God, why can't I see it on the side? There we go. 2.67. Same thing here though. You know, has the golden cross. You know, I still give the nod to the bulls as long as we're above the 21. So any sort of a move back down to this 2.67 region probably gonna be bought up. Neo Cash, same thing here. Probably comes back down to $11. Eos Cash. Eos, definitely a lot more on the stronger side. I mean, look at this one, very obvious flag. I do believe that I've already done up the measure move for this one. Hey, get on over here. There you go. Measure move would be pointing us towards. Yeah, about 7 and a quarter, and I don't think it'd really stop there. You know, probably a slight pullback and then works its way higher. But overall, you know, needs to break above 647 and a half first. Until it does that, you know, we don't really have a move. lower time frames, maybe come back down and test the 12-hour 21 somewhere around 613. So lower time frames, a little bit of a pullback, higher time frames bullish, as are most things right now. Ripple me nipples cash. What are we doing? Probably comes back down and tests the base here at about 36.5 cent. But again, goes with the rest of the market. 36.5 cent, I think, pretty very likely, and then we'll figure it out from there. I do think that it probably gets a nice bounce there. If we do lose this area, then very bad. As are all the areas that we spoke about. If I do have to just say a little bit of a sound bit, if all those areas when I'm looking for a bounce on fail, that's going to imply that we probably see Bitcoin fill the gap. Monero's on the stronger side, I would say. Actually, kind of in a support area right here. Maybe comes down a little bit more towards 84.75, but yeah, maybe another buck lower, but I would be looking for it to get picked up there. Overall, still working on a nice little, what do you want to call it, symmetrical triangle. There's a measurement to be made on this baby as well. We can do that really quickly. Not going to be super scientific, especially with my fucking mouse that is impossible to use. It'd be pointing us to this $100 target, yeah. So $100. Stellar, if it can break out above. Again, if it can break out above, that's a big question right here. Stellar, what's Stellar doing? Probably comes back down and tests 11.8 cent. Daily, yeah, same thing. Daily actually maybe a little bit low. No, 11.8, yeah, 11.8. And I think that pretty much does it for all of them. So I think that's going to do it for today. I get a little bit of a faster stream just because there hasn't been too much to really speak about that's new. If I had to sum up my thoughts, probably pull back in lower time frames, higher time frames still bullish. Bitcoin tentative target like 78.50 maybe, something like that. Kind of hard to get these ones, but I'd imagine somewhere around the 12-hour 21 is our big defense right here, which is actually a little bit lower at around 7,800. So again, these areas are the areas of interest, but as long as we hold within this formation here, the big play in my opinion is going to be playing the breakout or breakdown. Remember that with all the altcoins, whichever way Bitcoin decides to go, they're likely to follow. Very rarely do things move on their own. If we move below this region right here, below about 7,200, I'm bearish for a move probably down to about 6,200-ish area. If we move above this area right here, about 8,200, 8,250, we close a 12-hour daily above there, well, then I'm bullish for a move into the 9,000s, like 93, 94, 95-ish area. For right now, kind of just floating around. Do you think that we come back down and test this area in the median here first, and then probably in the next couple days we break this formation as looked at by the hourly historical volatility percentile and some of the higher time frames as well. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. I'm hungry as fuck, and I want to wish you well. I'm looking forward to get back to the true base so I can have my beautiful mic, my new mic, all in all of its glory ready, coming into your ears once again, not like this fucking underwater piece of shit, but sorry about that. Again, apologies about this current mic. I know it's annoying. Anyways, I want to wish you well on this Goat Jesus Sunday. Take care and see you soon.